Okay, so for this tutorial, we're going to learn how to open a file. In this case, to read the file, but to either read or write a file. And just to sort of like motivate this example, we're going to tack it on to the last example where we learned how to execute a Unix command from within Python and redirect its output to a file. So again, I've logged on to the Unix server using two different windows. One that is a Unix terminal, so I can see what's going on at the Unix side, and then I'm running the Python 3 interpreter here. And so just like we did last time, I've imported the OS module, and then I'm going to execute a system command that prints the working directory and then redirects that to a file. So I can execute that, and then when I go over there in Unix, I see that I've created this temp file, and it has information in it. And now what I want to be able to do is then open this file and read the output of the system command into a Python variable. So the way you open a file is you use the Python function open, and you just give it the name of the file. And so here's the name of the file that I just created. So I can open the file using the same name. Once the file is created, I should be able to open it. And then I have to give it a mode in which to open the file. And there are lots of different modes that you can use. The most common are the string R, so typically lowercase r, although there's a capital R as well, for read, and W for write. Now notice that if I open this file in write mode, then I will overwrite the contents of this file, and I don't want to do that. I want to read in the contents of the file. So the next thing I have to do is I have to capture the file handle in a Python variable. And I usually use the variable name handle for input files. That's just my convention. It's not standard. Well, I'm not the only one who uses it, but it's not like a enforced standard that lots of people use. Anyways, so I call the open function, which is a basic function in Python, the name of the input file I want to open, and then because it's an input file, I'm opening it in read mode. And then I capture the file handle in a variable. Now notice if I print handle, I get some weird encoding information. It's because the return value of the open function is not the contents of the file, it's an object that you can use to access the file. That's why it's called a file handle and not a file. So to actually get the contents of the file out, I need to, once I have the file handle, I need to use some function to read the contents of the file into my program. And the easiest thing to use, we'll do more file parsing later on, but the easiest thing to use is I'm going to define a variable called result because I want to capture the information in the file into a Python variable. I'm going to call that variable result, and I'm going to set it equal to handle.read. So once I have opened a file handle in read mode, so now I have my file handle, I can call the read function on that file handle object, and that will read the entire contents of the file into my Python script, and then this part of that line captures the result of this file read operation in this variable. So it doesn't look like anything that happened, but if I print result variable, we can see that it has all of the contents of the file, including, as you can see, the new line at the very end of the file, which is not as evident when you cat it in Unix, but is very evident when you print it in Python. There is this string plus a new line, and then the print function adds another new line at the end, so you get this extra line. So anyways, now I have access to the contents of my file, which in this case is the result of executing my Unix system command. So I've executed a system command. In this case, it's just print working directory, redirected the output of that command to a file, and now I want to access that output. So I create a file handle by opening that file in read mode, and then I read the contents of the file and store it in a Python variable, and now I can use that result of that Unix command in my Python script later on to do whatever I want. One more important thing that I have to do is whenever I'm done reading a file and I don't need that file anymore, I have to call close using that file object. And so that releases any system resources that may be used to access this file. And it's really important that you do that, because not doing so can cause problems for your program or for the programs of other users on the system for lots of various reasons. Once I close the file, I can't read the file anymore because I'm trying to do an I/O operation on a closed file. That file has been released from my use, so I can no longer use it. So the sort of order of operations that happens is that you open a file, you capture that file handle in a Python object, you extract the contents of the file using some methodology, in this case a simple read function call, and then you close that file handle. And once that file handle is closed, you can no longer use it in your program. So that's typically we try to leave files open for as short a period of time as possible. Again, for really simple scripts, it's not really that important, but if, for example, you're accessing hundreds or thousands of files, or files that were very, very large, then you don't want to just sort of maintain all those resources necessary to access those files once you're done using them. So you always want to close your files when you're done.